There you go. With shrimp. There you go. Not spicy. You know exactly what I'm talking
Hello. We do. So I think we'll start with our general welcome to Journeys from Lagos to Brooklyn. And what's really exciting is, of course, Inside Dining has started. So I know you guys are used to hearing a little bit of noise in the background from the kitchen and the beautiful ladies who are serving the wonderful guests. Today is probably going to be considerably louder. Just because we'll have people inside the restaurant. But I'm super excited. We've got Mr. Robert Robinson visiting us today. How are you?
I'm fantastic, and I'm happy to be here.
We're happy to see you. And I'm trying to figure out how I can keep my mask on and eat my macaroni and cheese at the same time, and I think I'm going to have a hard time.
You got a face shield. I think you're good. You got a whole face shield.
Well, thank you. What I like to start off with, I have a little cheat sheet. I've read your repertoire, very impressive. I feel a little blessed and gifted to be sitting next to you.
Thank you.
Hoping some of that greatness rubs off. Why don't you start by kind of telling our guests who you are?
Got it. Okay, so my name is Rob Robinson. Where should I look? Or just...
So there's a middle camera there.
Okay.
But Johnny, our producer in the back, is going to do a close up on you, so you can just look straight ahead.
I can look straight ahead.
You can just whatever you want to do.
Okay. So my name is Rob Robinson. I'm a few things. So I'm an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. Historically. I graduated with my degree in political science from Hunter College, City University of New York.
Ooh, that's heavy.
Right, and then went to work for the NAACP as one of their regional directors. I coordinated the Northeast Region's Youth and College Division activities.
Okay.
And then I went into business for myself and did that for 20 years.
So you're only 24 now. Wow.
That's good. I felt compelled to get into elementary education. I grew up in the projects, actually 5 minutes from here, right up the road there, Farragut Houses.
Okay, very familiar.
The oldest of 7, and I was blessed to be introduced to the Brooklyn Youth Council of the NAACP when I was 16 years of age.
How is that possible?
A good friend of mine invited me to one of the meetings and said, there are girls there. And so that got me to the meeting.
That's how you get a 16-year-old to come. Absolutely, right. That makes sense.
That got me to the meeting. And so it put me in an environment where I had an opportunity to be exposed to people and things and a skill set called Robert's Rules of Order and Parliamentary Procedure that I normally would not have been exposed to. So
you said that really fast,
okay.
So I'm not sure that our guests got it. Can you say that again?
So parliamentary procedure and Robert's Rules of Order. It's good meeting governance. So it's the way actually corporate boards, mm-hmm. foundations, societies, Divine Nine organizations of which I'm a member. I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi, initiated in the spring '89.
Like our beloved Jonathan.
Absolutely, that's my big brother.
Yeah.
Yes, God rest his soul. And so, so I learned that skill set, which propelled me professionally and civically. And so I felt compelled after getting into business for myself.
And once again, we are live, and that is beautiful, MJ. That's okay, MJ.
To substitute teach. Mm-hmm. So, I called a fraternity brother of mine, Leroy Barr, who is now the secretary for the United Federation of Teachers. He was the assistant director of staff at the time, and said to him, I want to substitute teach in Bedford-Stuyvesant.
Or in elementary school.
In elementary school for special education, right?
That's amazing to me. My first job at 14 was being a teacher's aide at a special education school in Columbia, Maryland. That's where I'm from.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I felt compelled to teach that demographic because that is one of the hardest demographics to teach is the narrative. And no one wants to really teach special education, elementary education. There are a lot of black boys who get who get put into that group because they're called hard to manage.
Right.
Right. They're considered emotionally disturbed, etc. But really, what they're reacting to is the way that they're being raised and the environment that they're being raised in. And I understand that because I was raised in that same kind of environment right up the road in the projects. So I did that for some time, continued my education in special education and general education, and then taught for 5 years.
Okay.
Then I have my youngest daughter now, Catherine, who thinks she's in charge of my life. She's 6 now.
You have a 6-year-old?
6-year-old daughter
Oh,
and a 4-year-old son.
Oh.
But I have 3 older children, so don't laugh.
No, I'm not. I don't have any, so it's still hope for me if you got a 4-year-old.
Yeah, so I got a 27-year-old daughter, a 23-year-old son, a 23-year-old adopted son, and then a 21-year-old son. So,
Wow,
so
that's
yeah.
nice. That's beautiful.
So I took off 2 years to raise her because I didn't want her with babysitters, and then went back to the DOE as a parent coordinator in Community School District 16.
Okay.
And I liked that work. I did that for about a year, and then the UFT asked me to come on board.
So what is UFT?
So UFT is the United Federation of Teachers.
Okay.
And I'm the parent and community liaison for the borough of Manhattan. So all of the family and community engagement that happens for all the schools in Manhattan
goes through.
I do that on behalf of the UFT.
So if I didn't get anything else from you today, I know that I need to dust off my resume and send it to Mr. Robinson. I don't know if any of you all got that.
But the other hat that I wear is I am the sitting president for the Parliamentarians of Brooklyn, New York, with an organization called the National Association of Parliamentarians. And I am also the District 1 director, was elected last year as the District 1 director for the National Association of Parliamentarians, which covers basically the Northeast. So that is New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, and the New England states, plus parts of Canada.
Okay, so now that we geographically have it centered, I need you to break it down to everyday English for me because I don't know what that organization is.
Okay, got it. So the National Association of Parliamentarians is the premier parliamentary organization for people who are parliamentarians who do parliamentary work. So, for example, you watched the impeachment trials, right? The impeachment hearings.
Yes.
You heard Chairman Nadler and them talking about motions. You heard them talking about the member will suspend. Right. Those kinds of things. That's parliamentary procedure.
Okay.
If you ever watch C-SPAN, that channel that we all scroll past.
Right. No, but if you want to know what's happening in your local government, that's where you go.
And on a national stage too.
Yeah.
So you wondered how when you put your ATM card in the ATM machine, it costs you $3.
Right.
To take money, your own money.
Out of another institution.
Out of another institution's bank.
Yes.
When, mind you, it's all connected.
Right.
So,
absolutely.
And they make billions on what they call foreign ATM fees and bounce check fees.
Right.
You want to wear the decision to charge you $35 for a return check.
Yeah, insufficient funds.
That happened on C-SPAN in front of your face, behind your back, using parliamentary procedure.
So then we need to contact Mr. Robinson to get back some of our fees.
Well,
that's what he just said.
So
behind our back.
Right. So
I like that saying.
This is actually a skill set that's utilized in local city government, in Albany, in city council, nationally, right, to make decisions that impact our lives.
Right.
That's the skill set that's utilized, right? That we're not paying attention to.
We absolutely not.
We're not paying attention.
Someone actually turned on C-SPAN in here the night of the presidential debate, and I'm familiar with C-SPAN, but I wanted to go to MSNBC.
Sure.
So that's another thing. The debate happened right in front of my face, behind my back, because I changed the channel.
So what NAP is an organization that coordinates parliamentarians. Okay. Now, other areas where this work happens, corporate boards, right, where they're making decisions prior to their annual stockholders meetings and those things, they use parliamentary procedure.
So how do you, I guess I understand the process, I understand when it's used, but let's say I woke up in the morning, I wanted to become a parliamentarian.
Yep.
Because it sounds like it's a thing. what would I do in order to become that?
So that's a great question. So if you're part of a fraternity or sorority, if you're part of Jack and Jill, if you're part of the Masons, the Eastern Stars, pretty much any organization that has a body of people that meet with a structure that has a president or chairman, they use Robert's Rules of Order, right?
Right.
Most of them don't really know what they're doing.
Right.
They use a form that we call custom. What NAP does is it provides an organized unit where you can come and learn how to do that work properly. So I charted the parliamentarians of Brooklyn, New York, because the other thing I need to say, just being transparent,
please,
is that the National Association of Parliamentarians is still a largely white organization.
Right, not surprised.
Right. Even though all fraternities and sororities, Jack and Jill, Urban League, NAACP, everyone uses parliamentary procedure,
they don't engage in the actual
work of it. So they use a form that we call custom, which is really whatever the last guy that sat in the president's seat said is what they said.
Right.
So I found value in this work because in my own fraternity, in John's fraternity, our fraternity, in Sam Adewumi's fraternity, he's an Omega.
Yeah, my dad is an Omega as well. My mother's an AKA.
So you know what it is.
Yeah.
We use this work, right? I found value in just being a member of NAP because I said, you know what, this can help us better run our meetings.
Right.
Right? But then I thought back to what I learned when I was in the NAACP Brooklyn Youth Council about parliamentary procedure. Just that, learning that, helped propel me professionally and civically.
And that's what I'm listening to, because it sounds like something, especially given everything that's happened in this volatile year. If you're looking to increase your skill set, I'm listening to you and I'm taking note and I'm saying, okay, this is where I need to pivot and probably find out more about what you're speaking about, because I know in my community it's the first time I've ever heard anyone mention it.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I did a radio show just a few days, Sunday actually, Voices of East New York.
Okay.
They had a couple thousand people on there. They live streamed it on Facebook and that kind of thing. And exactly what you just said is what a multitude of people was putting in the chat box.
Absolutely.
They were saying, we I'm part of a condo board. I'm part of a, I'm part of a. They were naming the organizations that they in. The Fraternal Order of Police. A bunch of people was on, and they were like, we use motions and stuff in our meetings, but we never really learned the proper way to do it.
Right.
But let me tell you what my real passion is.
Okay.
Right? Because in as much as now, if you are a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha or any kind of organization that's called the Deliberative Assembly, you join a parliamentary unit like mine to learn.
Right.
And then there are consulting opportunities because registered parliamentarians and professional registered parliamentarians, which is what I am, I'm a professional registered parliamentarian. It's the highest credential you can get in the parliamentary world. I command a significant consulting fee to go into organizations and teach them good meeting governance. Because what happens is people run their meetings for so long doing it the wrong way that by the time the problems get to this level, they have to call someone in like me and my colleagues to help them fix their stuff.
Okay, so my mother, who I'm pretty sure is watching, is shaking her head because when I was young, she tried to get me into Jack and Jill. And I wouldn't listen. And then I didn't pledge when I went to school either. But so are you saying that someone who is not in one of those groups, a regular person, can't get into it at all?
Into parliamentary procedure?
Yeah.
Sure, because most groups that are organized groups use it. So I only use the example of the fraternities and sororities to make it relatable. Yeah. But just if you and 7 or 8 other people want to start a foundation or not-for-profit.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Got it. Then it's the same thing.
You would conduct your meetings in the same way, according to Robert's Rules of Order. The Department of Education uses Robert's Rules of Order in its parent-led organizations. And in my professional capacity, I do a lot of training for our parent groups on how to run their meetings. Everyone needs that because otherwise it will be chaos, right? So we teach you how to formally do that. Now, to the thing that I'm passionate about. When I'm starting my units, and I'm in the process now of expanding my district, the Northeast, right? One of the first core mandates they have is to create a pipeline to leadership for our young people. And this is something that's unique to the units that I'm chartering, Bob. Unique to the units that I'm chartering, right? You heard of Future Business Leaders of America? So some white businessmen got together
Right.
and said, how can we create a training ground for young white children to be mentored throughout high school into college to be able to speak the language,
Right.
the corporate language, to be intentionally mentored and tracked to be able to run companies and businesses.
Kind of like co-op education in a lot of the Ivy League schools.
A group of people sat down and said, we want to create a track for our kids to continue to run the companies that we started and start other ones.
Right.
That's intentional creation of an environment of leadership.
Right.
Now there are black kids in FBLA as well. But my point is, someone sat and thought that up. Similarly, a group of businessmen got together and said, the industrial prison complex, how can we better monetize that to make money off the backs of largely people of color
Right.
who populate the prison system?
Right.
And they figured out that if we take the 4th grade ELA scores of young black boys, we can figure out where to put prisons. Because
strategically around where those individuals are.
so the schools where there are failing ELA scores, starting at the 4th grade level, you can Google this, right? We know where to put our prisons to be able to make millions and millions of dollars, because based on those ELA scores of those young black boys and those young black girls, they are going to fail in life.
And they're in an impoverished environment.
That's right. And then they're going to make decisions to sell drugs and do other things that's going to put them into the court system where sentencing is unfair, where they can't afford real representation, where they're going to end up in prison. And since we charge the federal government and have contracts with the federal government to the tune of millions and millions of dollars, right? We know if kids that look like you and kids that look like you and kids that look like me are failing in the schools with their ELA scores, we can put prisons demographically that's going to help us benefit.
And then those kids are in there making, I think way back in the day it was just license plates, but now they've had big discussions where kids are doing credit. They're doing all kinds of things.
Oh yeah,
in prison
for
like 17
pennies.
cents.
For pennies. So here's my point about the parliamentary schools. I want to make sure I keep it on track with what you asked, right? I had the thought, and I said to the members of my unit, parliamentarians of Brooklyn, New York, let's create the same kind of intentional environment for our 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds to be able to be armed with this skill set that we see impact our everyday lives.
Right.
Let's put them in a position so that by the time they get to high school, they already know good meeting governance. They know how to chair a corporate board meeting. They know how to run student government. They know how to run delegate assembly.
Which in turn helps them with their studying, helps them with behavior issues, helps them with
Glad you
leadership.
said that. Glad you said that.
Because once you have leadership and once you have role models, and the fact that those young boys and girls are seeing someone who looks like them, I'm assuming,
Yes.
instructing this class, they now look at that person and say, oh, that could be me in the front of the class. And
Glad you
that's
said that.
our problem in the school system. Not enough of us, especially black men, teaching schools, because I know for a fact 2 summers ago, there was some like $17 million put into the education system to recruit black men as teachers.
Sure, black male teachers, that's right.
Yeah, that was huge, because I pushed a bunch of my friends that way. We got into it.
So here's what we've done in the last couple of months. We have started to do, and we're doing them by Zoom now, introduction to parliamentary procedure workshops. We were doing them in 2018 and 2019 before outside closed down.
Right.
Where my unit, parliamentarians of Brooklyn, New York, went into schools in Bed-Stuy, East New York, and Brownsville for 2 periods, and we did introduction to parliamentary procedure workshops, middle schools and high schools.
How did the kids react to it?
Great question. So one of the high schools we went to was a school in a particular district where the principal said, you guys are not going to get any traction here right?
Already
The
setting them up
principal
to
said that.
failure.
Principal said
And
that.
can I ask,
And
did the principal look like us?
No, she was a white woman. And by the way, she wasn't being racist or facetious. She was speaking from her experience.
Her
Absolutely.
Right? Because here we are saying we're going to come into the school for 2 periods and teach a special education 8th grade class where the kids have hoodies on, where they're reading at the many of them at the 4th and 5th grade level, where if you can just get them to pay attention, right, that was a successful
good day.
day,
Yeah.
right? That was a win. She said, they're not going to really be interested in parliamentary law and
And
the
in
stuff
her
we're
head,
talking
she was
about.
probably saying they won't even be able to articulate it.
Or you won't be able to hold their attention. I said to her, listen, don't worry about that. Let us worry
Let's
about it.
try.
What we need is the first 2 periods. Can we get that? She said, sure. As being an educator, I put together a lesson plan for the workshop aligned to New York State Common Core standards, sent that to her because I knew she would like that.
Right.
We had a PowerPoint presentation put together. And me and 5 of my parliamentarians went to the school to do that workshop. She introduced us. It was maybe 13 kids in the class, right? And then she went to take care of some other things. She came back an hour later. And when she came back, she really could not believe what she was watching. Because when she
They were
saw
really
The engagement.
Right. She saw a table set up the way you have a corporate board meeting set up with the young lady and the young brother who was serving as the presiding officer and the secretary. She saw the entire class quiet because, to your point, Robert's Rules of Order and Parliamentary Procedure is about order in your meeting. Because you can't have order in your AKA meeting or your Jack and Jill meeting if everyone's talking. And this is what we're teaching them when we do our workshops for these other organizations. So we said to the young people, who likes to argue? Everybody raise their hand. We said, so here's what we call that. We call that debate.
Yeah, I was in debate too.
And we're going to show you how to turn those arguments into debate. And here are the rules for that. No one can speak until Takisha recognizes you. Takisha is the
I love
president.
that you use Takisha.
Right?
I love that.
And no one can speak unless she recognizes you. You must raise your hand and ask to be recognized by Takisha, because she is the presiding officer.
Takisha loved that.
She loved it. And in fact, all the other kids didn't want her to be the presiding officer.
Yeah, they wanted to be Takisha.
Right? And we said that if you disagree, so we have to all collectively agree about what we're going to do. Because we don't want to be fighting over things. We want to collectively agree. And if there's something that you want to do as a group, that's called a motion, which you saw happen right on TV in the debates.
Exactly.
Right? That's called a motion. Right? And then someone else has to second it and agree to that you want to discuss it. And then you guys got to vote on it. So what that was collaboration and agreement, showing them the skill set of you guys can disagree, but there's a way you do that.
Absolutely.
And the way is not with knives. The way is not
Guns.
you feel me?
Your fists.
We're going to discuss it. And interestingly enough, let me segue real fast. Have you ever watched The Wire?
Oh, I'm from Columbia, Maryland. I
Okay.
know about the Wire.
There was one of my parliamentarians screenshot and posted in our group a scene from The Wire where the drug dealers were using parliamentary procedure in their meetings
That's amazing.
to decide how to divide up the territory and agree to not all be shooting each other. So let me flip back. Okay. So she walked back and she saw that and she couldn't believe it. Shamel, who always has his hoodie on, his head down, sullen, was standing up to make an amendment to the motion that was on the floor.
And there's a proven fact though that with us as a culture and as a people, given the opportunity, we succeed.
100%.
We just need to see the leadership. When I first came to New York, I worked with New York Empowerment Zone.
Mm-hmm.
One of my contracts, my background is technical. I do a lot of technical training and writing and stuff, consulting. And it was for kids between 17 to 24. And I was so excited about it because you get a certain, you can talk to adults and help adults, but when you see the youth really recognize and you can see a certain glimmer in their eye, it kind of hits you differently. So I can imagine at the elementary level that you're talking about, it has to be even more rewarding.
So let's take it right to the next step you just articulated, right? I said to my unit, we're going to create this intentional pipeline. And then did the same thing with the other units I'm starting. So I did a workshop for the Kappa League of Brooklyn, New York. Brooklyn, Long Island, London has a group of young men. and we did a training for the Jack and Jill group from Queens. Those young people sat in a workshop. They loved what they saw. They're 13, 14, 15, and 16. And we said, now we're going to take it to the next step because there's no age requirement in the National Association of Parliamentarians to be a member.
Really?
And so we said, we're going to have you guys take the NAP membership exam. It's based on a yellow book called Robert's Rules of Order in Brief that most adults haven't read. They took and passed the NAP membership exam. So that intentional environment that I'm talking to you about, Bob, that intentional environment I'm talking to you about, they now are members of my parliamentary unit.
At a young age.
Right.
You're setting them up for success.
For leadership.
And they will also share with their peers.
See, you keep on going to the next. You keep on going to the next thing. See where we are?
I'm really
She tries to stay ahead of you.
Right.
I'm really excited about what he's saying because I've always enjoyed working with kids.
Well, Rob, if you don't know, this is our 10th episode, and we are in the phase where we're talking about solutions. And,
Perfect.
And so I think it's very appropriate that you're here because, we're always talking about our problems.
Yeah.
And what's being done to us and how do we deal with these things. And very, very seldomly do we talk about, well, what is our way forward?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's amazing to have you here talking about a system that
I'm listening.
that we're using to improve our situation. And one of the things I learned in just reading and learning that kids, their level of retention and their learning ability is increased when the person teaching them is teaching them in their own vernacular. So it's very important for people like you to go into the classrooms to talk to kids that look like you, because for whatever reason, they're going to make a better connection to you because for whatever reason, your vernacular and they can understand you better. And they're able to learn the concepts you're able to teach them better.
And because a lot of our young boys and girls don't have fathers at home, right?
Yes,
or mothers. So when you have people, I forget which study it was that I saw during the pandemic where they were talking about part of the problem in a lot of the urban community is that you have these kids sitting in classes and there's someone who's non-brown or black, usually older, and they're looking at the person and the person is not speaking their language. But when they look at them, they're saying, how can I see myself doing this or accomplishing it? That person doesn't know me. That person doesn't look like me.
That's absolutely right. And so what we did based on that same idea, and we wanted to show them that people that look like you are able to successfully do this work. And they wanted to know, well, this parliamentary procedure stuff, how does that relate to my actual everyday life as a 15-year-old? So here's what happened next. When we did those 2 meetings for the Brooklyn, Long Island Kappa League and for Jack and Jill, out of that group, so now those young people are in that intentional environment I'm talking about because they're members of our units. And I said, I said to their parents, if all they do, Bob, is if they just are on our Zoom calls, and then when outside opens back up, they're at our meetings for 5, 6, 7 years listening to this, by the time they get to college, they will have no peers.
Absolutely.
Right? But then we had 3 of those young people say, you know what? I want to become a registered parliamentarian. So the 2 levels, registered parliamentarian, it's like being a CPA, right? You have to take 5 rigorous exams based on the entire book, Robert's Rules of Order, to become a credentialed parliamentarian. Up to this point, the youngest that we had do it was a 17-year-old young man named Brandon Foster from Brooklyn. He became a registered parliamentarian at 17.
That is amazing.
I had 6 of my collegiates. You actually met them. They've been through here a few times, who, when they were at John Day, NYU, and Wagner College, at 20 and 21, they became registered parliamentarians. This 13-year-old young lady by the name of Juliet Kelly, a 14-year-old named Brianna Robinson, young lady, and a 15-year-old named Amadi Utek, they said, we want to become registered parliamentarians. So they are now in a one-to-one mentorship scenario. I'm mentoring two of the young people, and our parliamentarian of Queens, New York, President Sharon Wells is mentoring another one of the young ladies. They will make history as the youngest registered parliamentarians in the history of the National Association of Parliamentarians, which is a mostly white organization, and they will.
I gotta give it up for that. I gotta give it up for that.
I've been a tear in my eye.
Right.
Really, really unaccomplished.
And what I see there is a senator.
Absolutely.
I see a president of a company.
Absolutely.
I see the foundation board chairman, right? And they're excited about it. They're engaged. And you would never think a 13 or 14-year-old would be interested in an interrupting motion or a second degree amendment and in all those skill sets, because there's a reason why the Senate is mostly white.
Yeah, we're not given the opportunity to be exposed to.
And if you look at the background of most of the senators that serve in the United States Senate, most of them are wealthy, and most of them were tracked from elementary school.
Right.
They went to the right elementary school, they went to the right high school, they went to the right college.
You got to sit next to the right person.
You understand that?
Intern with the right, you know.
Somebody was intentional about that, bub.
Yes, yes.
So we are being intentional about that in Brooklyn. And so now I have a unit being chartered in Long Island, parliamentarians of Nassau, Suffolk County. I've got one being chartered in Boston. I've got one being chartered two being chartered in Delaware. So I got 8 in total. And each of those units have the same mandate to go into those schools in the urban environments and take those kids, do a workshop, have them become members of the unit, and mentor them through high school. And I told them that's our most important thing. So I'm excited about that. So,
No, and I'm excited. I'm excited with you because I do have single girlfriends and some who are in couples, successful couples, but they have kids in that range and in the areas that you're talking about who I think are bright. One of my closest friends has a son named Tamari, and Tamari often embarrasses his teacher by mistake because he corrects the teacher in class. He's so bright.
what grade is he in?
I think Tamari's in the 10th or 11th.
And is he in Brooklyn?
No. Tamari lives in, I think it's Long Island, like Elmont.
Elmont?
Yeah.
I'd love to get that contact information.
I am. I'm sure his mom is watching. I'm going to give it to you because
We need Tamari's contact information. Mom, if you're listening,
Watch it.
we need his information.
No, you will have it.
Yes.
Tamari, and then I have another girlfriend who has 4 boys, and her oldest son is attending Boone State University right now. But all of my girlfriends and kids are really, really bright, and it starts at home when you have that opportunity.
Sure.
But for cases where you don't have that opportunity, I think your program is excellent. I feel like I need to have a kid now just to they could be a parliamentarian.
Absolutely. You know, we have to be intentional about our future. We have to have intentions and plan. We have to get out of this everyday reactionary lifestyle.
Thank you,
We
Bob.
have to make plans and follow through with them. You know, as parents, as a community, you know, and we have to support institutions.
Right.
You know, like
Some
Rob has.
think they have a plan, but it's the plan that our parents had and our parents' parents had, right? So that's finish school, finish elementary, go to high school, maybe go to college or a trade school. But now, with programs like yourself, I think we should take a moment to say, people who are listening, how can they contact you?
Sure.
What methods would you prefer?
Sure. And so they should send an email. If you're hearing my voice, if you're watching this show, and you have an interest in either yourself becoming a registered parliamentarian, or if you just want more information on how to become a member of a parliamentary group, if you've got young people who you would like to be in this environment, then you should email Dina Sellers. That's D as in Dolly, Sellers, Sellers, and then P as in pal, B as in boy, N as in Nancy, Y as in yes, PBNY@gmail.com. Again, that's Dina, D, so it's D, not Dina, D Sellers, Sellers, PBNY@gmail.com. She's our membership recruitment chairperson. And you can email me. So you can cop me at R Robinson, ROB as in boy, INSONPBNY at gmail.com. If you missed any of that, they know how to get in touch with you.
Donnatella myself.
Right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I was writing the email address so that Johnny can add it to the ticket.
Okay,
the ticker.
perfect.
So that was D Sellers, SELLERS, PNBY.
No, P, B as in boy, N as in Nancy, Y. That's the Parliamentarians of Brooklyn, New York, at gmail.com. And with a CC to me at R Robinson, PBNY, at gmail.com. Right? And then you will get an email with all the information that you need. If you have an organized youth group, so if you have a model UN youth group, our parliamentarians of Nassau, Suffolk County, under the leadership of Plachette Shelton, who's a registered parliamentarian, her chartering secretary, and Kenji Gilliam, is the advisor for Model UN for one of the high schools in Long Island. They have 30 young people who are exceptionally bright young people. I'm doing a introduction to parliamentary procedure workshop for them in 2 weeks, and we're going to be introducing them to the same thing. We want as many young people as possible to reach out to us so that way we can put you in that intentional environment to prepare you to lead. And we're serious about that.
Absolutely.
We're serious about that. I'm busy. I got it. My daughter, Bub knows Catherine.
Absolutely.
Right?
You have no time to waste, Rob.
Right. And my son, Makai, and my children do exceptionally well, thank God. But I recognize my responsibility to the community. And so when your children do well, my children do well. Right? So it's not enough for me to say, I got mine, right? You need to get yours too.
True.
And it's my job with all the other things I do, right, Bob? To be able to help bring some others along, because I want to make this last point on something that you said.
Okay.
When you were talking about peer-to-peer mentorship.
Right.
So what Amadi is doing, and what Brianna is doing, and what Juliet's doing, is that any young people that are interested in now taking the NAP membership exam, because they're going to the next level of becoming registered parliamentarians. But anybody who's interested, those young people, now we're connecting them with Amadi and Juliet and Brianna, and they are sending the email guidance that they need to be able to take the NAP membership exam.
And that's great, because I think it's setting an expectation for someone who's close to their age or their
That's
age
it.
to say, look, you look like me, with the same age. If you're serious,
If I could do it, you can do it.
You can do it.
That's
You
it.
can do it as well.
Right? Because we have to also create another silo where young people are talking to young people about business, about good meeting governance, about skill sets that they can monetize. Because Brianna, once she completes her studies as a registered parliamentarian, her rate is $250 an hour.
And how old is Brianna again?
She's 14 years of age. A registered parliamentarian is $250 an hour and up. A professional registered parliamentarian is double that.
That was my next question about, and you just answered it. Real quick before you leave, I know you gotta go.
Sure.
Tell me about your biking. I see you biking all over New York City.
Yes.
Please let us know what's going on with that.
So we're always busy, right? If you're a business owner, successful business owner like yourself, successful in all of the different things that you touch, we also have to take time to pay attention to our health, right? And that's really important, because you can be doing 20 things, it's no good if you're dead, right?
Absolutely.
And our community, in particular Black men, suffer from hypertension, high blood pressure, diabetes, all those good things. So I got myself a bike, and I said, you know what I want to do? I'm going to organize some of my friends, and we're going to bike across every bridge in New York City, and then some in New York State.
Every bridge in the city.
Right. So we've done the Manhattan Bridge, the Brooklyn Bridge, the Williamsburg Bridge, the Queensboro Bridge, the Pulaski Bridge. We've done the Governor's Island Bridge. We've done every one that you have, and now we're headed to Connecticut. And then after we do all the bridges in Connecticut, then we're doing the bridges in Pennsylvania. So it's starting to grow. right? And we're going to be biking through the fall. But it's a way to be able to release stress, right? It's a way to keep ourselves healthy. We bike at 6 in the morning. We meet at 6. So, because it's early, because we all got jobs and things we have to do. We're only biking for about an hour, hour and a half. We'll bike through Prospect Park, but it's a way for us to be able to get our fitness on, right? And keep our hearts healthy. I can't tell you.
That's so important. That is so important.
Keeps up your immune system.
Yes.
Which is also very important during this time where we're dealing with the pandemic as well.
That's right. And so get a friend or 5. And if you're walking, if you're running, if you're jogging, do that intentionally with a group to be able to keep yourselves healthy. So that's what that is. And I'm enjoying it.
With a healthy group.
And lastly, I wanted to ask you if you saw the great debate.
I did.
On Tuesday. And your thoughts.
And you got 3 minutes before you have to go.
Yes. And I appreciate that. I got 2 other meetings.
I know.
But Bubba's my brother, and when he called me, I said I would love the opportunity to talk to your listeners. You know, I was disappointed. I was disappointed. That was a debacle. And here's why I was disappointed. It doesn't matter what your politics are, right? Democrat, Republican, Independent. There should be a certain level of respect and decorum that we communicate with each other with, right? And I'm just going to say it. You know, there was one candidate on the stage who was trying to be presidential. And there was another one on the stage who refused to be. And this individual in the White House was determined to drag his opponent into the gutter.
Well, and I think it was also this individual in the White House, when he doesn't know what to say, which is most often, he leads with distraction as a way to get around. I think he's out the mind. As long as he gives an answer, it doesn't matter what he's saying. And it was clear his intention was to try and throw the other opponent off of his flow. Yes,
it was disgusting. So here's my response to that, Bubba, in my final minute, right? What you looked at is more of a reason why you need to go vote. Vote early, and for those who are voting in person, if you have to stand online for 5 hours, you make sure that your vote is counted. Because I think we made a mistake in 2016. And I think that we've been paying for that mistake for the last 4 years. There are things that this individual has said and done no other candidate could ever have done and not been in prison, quite frankly.
And he's the only president that isn't getting backed by any living presidents in the history of all the elections.
That's it.
Any of the past presidents.
I think another 50 former Republican intelligence officers today announced that they're going to be voting for Biden.
Yeah, it's
another 50.
Disgusting. So
they actually started another organization, like 130 of them, former Republicans that just said, they just can't do it anymore. They
can't.
Yeah.
They just can't do it anymore.
It's probably scaring them because not only did he not want to denounce the white supremacists, I don't know if you're watching the trend that on November 4th he set it up so
he
that
sure did.
The people who follow him, if he doesn't win,
he sure
are
did.
going to take to the streets.
He sure
and
did.
do whatever it is that they're going to do. As much as I have enjoyed, you have to come back. It's 5:45.
Thank you. I appreciate you keeping that.
Where you need to go. We have another exciting guest. We're just going to take a break for like 2 minutes. We got 2 more guests.
I think we could throw both in. I think we could have both guests at the same time.
Well, I tell you what I'm going to do. If you're hearing my voice, I am going to go and I'm going to order my shrimp and salmon with linguine. Amarachi is probably one of the most phenomenal venues for cuisine that you want to. If you haven't eaten here, you are missing it, and you need to come and you need to eat here. Bub knows I'm not leaving without that dish. So I initially said to him, I have a 6 p.m. hard stop, but I'm making sure that I get my food ordered to go. And so I want to thank you all for your time. You got my contact information. I'm going to go order my food. And if you have not been to Amarachi, you need to get yourselves down here and order. Thank you so much
for your time.
I appreciate you. love you.
Thank you.
So we'll be right back to
Donnie.
Thanks. This was a pleasure. Say your first name, please.
Donnatella.
Donnatella?
Yeah, and I know
Braff.
every time you make eye contact, I know you wanted to say it. I was like, no, I don't want to say it. No, so now you have a brother. I'm also a sister now.
Good friend is Brother Joe. Yeah.
Yes, I'm going right over there.
Ali.
So we have one more person. He said the lapel's not working. Did he say that the lapels weren't working? You said the lapels weren't working, right? They're not working.
No, but I have to remove it. So,
There's
you can share the microphone. We don't have time to say that.
all right, I'll tell her.
So,
This is done.
I'm coming. I'm undressing.
Let's go, Johnny.
This is A. Lady A.
All right, so let's go that way. Okay, we're back. Johnny, give us the sign when we're back. Okay, boom.
Awesome. So, welcome back to our next very exciting guest, Mr. Shaykh Ali Alii. Did I say it correct?
Ali Ali is good.
Ali Alii. So,
Pull the mic over to you a little bit.
Okay,
there you
yes.
go.
Ali is good.
And
Yes.
so we want you, I know you seem to be a very nice, calm individual, but because the restaurant is so large and there's noise in the kitchen,
Yeah,
and
you got to speak into
customers,
it a little bit.
we're gonna have to get you to project and be forceful.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Brother Ali is my official barber. So we oftentimes have amazing, obviously, conversation in the barbershop.
Yes.
And you know, little do you know, he's also a descendant of Miles Davis, which is extremely fascinating. So, and he's also a Muslim brother. You know, one of my very few Muslim. I have a few Muslim friends. He happens to be one of them. And one of the things I love when they you gotta tell me when they pray, the manner. I love the way it sounds. And Brother Ali actually studied. What do you call it?
Yes. Quran. Recitation tilawa.
Yes. So
Tilawa.
it's just very calming and very spiritual. So we always talked about that, and I always, even though I'm not a Muslim, I'm not a Christian, I'm always fascinated in learning about these systems. So
Yes.
he's been an educator for me in helping me understand. You know, as you know, a lot of Black people throughout the world are Muslim. Just as many as probably are Christians. So we just want to get an idea of the faith and what it means to you as a Black person and how it fits into our world.
Okay. Can I say something first?
Yes.
رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي رب زدني علما. بسم الله وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. I'd like to thank you all for inviting me.
Thank you.
That's like an introduction that we're supposed to say before. So,
Take care. the mask off. So
Taking out. Okay. Okay.
So just to back up a second. So what you just said now is an introduction that you say as a greeting before you interact with people in general?
No, like before giving a speech or doing a program, or it's like an introductory. And then I included a prayer that Moses used to say. Yeah, because we believe he had some kind of speech impediment. And like maybe if you're nervous, you say it before to make your tongue.
Oh,
Yeah. Yes.
That's ancient science right there. Ancient science. And can you translate some of what you said?
I said, Rabbi shrah li sadri, which means, my Lord, expand my breast, my chest. Wa yassir li amri, and make my task easy. Wahlul uqdatan min lisani, loosen the knot from my tongue. Yafqahu qawli, and make my words clear.
See, one of the things in studying spiritual systems is incantations. I think the word is so powerful. And I guess we call it prayer as well.
Mm-hmm.
So when you speak these things, the manner, they become our reality. And I think it's very important to speak into that universe.
He educates me as well. He needs to stop that. Like, I educate him. He's educating me. I can't wait for him to come to the shop.
So what you're saying is so appropriate.
Yes.
And you're asking God, or the energy, the force, to allow you to do what you came here to do.
I'm not a natural public speaker, so I always do it everywhere I go. So now it's become part of what I do.
Manifestation.
That's going to become part of what I do.
And once again, this is about solutions. We're bringing in brothers and sisters in here to talk about solutions as a people, things that we need to start doing. And what you did just right there just is an amazing thing. Is that if we wake up every morning and manifest and say these things, call these things into existence.
I do it every day.
Absolutely.
I do it every day.
It becomes our reality.
Yes.
It becomes our reality. Rather than just getting up and willy-nilly it, let's get up and project and say these things and command these forces to come to work to our aid.
What did I do? Okay. Oh, he does?
Yeah, but you're not in the frame.
Okay. Okay, no problem. Sorry.
So, back to what we were talking about. I just wanted to say how fascinating I am in what you just did, because, I think culturally, Islam is closer to traditional African religion or spirituality than probably any other form, even though I wouldn't subscribe to it. But I think there's a closeness in there in the relationship that I respect it, because it's about respect and peace. A lot of the religion is about seeking peace and being humble.
Yes.
And having respect. And those are some of the principles that we need in our community. And if we had respect, and if we had humility, and if we manifested these are all positive things that we can use in our community to overcome a lot of our challenges.
Yeah, I do it every day before I go to work. Before I do anything, I say those. I say a lot more. I said the shortened version. But that one right there is my primary thing, especially going into the barbershop when I'm talking to people, to make sure that I'm clear and what I say and things like that.
Now, go ahead, Donnie.
No, I was just going to elaborate on what you said about the barbershop. It's good that you take that sense of pride and respect to make sure you're clear, because I can imagine you hear a lot in the barbershop. Traditionally, our culture, we don't go to psychiatrists or psychologists.
I'm the neighborhood barber, yeah.
You go to a barber, and probably should talk a little bit more about mental wellness that you're helping with.
They tell me things I want to know and things I don't want to know, so I have to stomach it all, but it's good. It's all good. It's all love. It's all love.
Tell us a little bit about I'm gonna get to Miles Davis. Don't think you're gonna walk out of here without that. Who's one of our heroes, one of our legends in history and all Black history. Thank you so much. And to have his actual descendant here, his grandchild, is amazing. You know?
Number one grandchild.
Exactly.
Number one son. My father always says that. That's why I said that.
You know, so I mean, literally, you know, and I believe that his spirit is right here amongst us. So we're amongst greatness. You know? So, you know, but I do want to ask you the relationship in your religion between the Arabs and Black people. In your religion, how is it? You know, because like right now, you have Libya, an African country where Black people are slaves. Mm-hmm. You know, and how does that happen? You know, how do we get to enslaving other people, even though we share the same belief system?
That is something that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, warned us of tribalism, asabiya, which is racism. One of his first acts, when he received his first message, one of his first acts as a prophet or a messenger was to free a slave, Bilal. And he always encouraged his followers to free slaves and things of that nature. But actually, slavery was in existence during the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And he encouraged it to stop. Now, what they're doing in Libya, I'm totally against it. What is our relationship with Arabs? I personally have a good relationship with them. Sometimes you run across some that are very racist. You know what I mean?
Similar to like the Europeans.
Yeah.
What we face with
yeah. It could be really bad. But yeah, that's something that
and
we're working on.
Let me clarify. Would those people be Arabs that are born in America or ones that come from that are immigrants?
Both. That disease is there over there. And it's here. What I noticed for myself, like in my journey of learning Islam and studying, my father always taught me to have an aim and things of that nature. So I kind of stay focused on what I have to do and overcome all obstacles and things of that nature. But I check them. When I'm approached with it, I check them and I tell them that I don't like that. Don't do that around me. You know, I don't care what you're used to in your country. I don't care what you're used to. I don't do that.
Like I see at the mosque right there on Bedford, you have a lot of different races.
We have them
come together.
Yeah,
Is that the norm, or mosques are they more segregated? Like,
no, it's always when it comes to the masjid, when it comes to anything religious, the way the Prophet, peace be upon him, or Allah laid it out in the Quran and the tradition of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, the rules and regulations of Islam, the encouragement, the tacit approvals, the disapprovals, is like put barriers on that. Like when it comes to going to their homes and things of that nature, you know, all bets are off. So sometimes you go into someone's home, you might experience it, or in the street, or in their stores, and things like that. But even there's rules, rules, even in dealing business-wise and things of that nature.
You brought up the Bilal. I was having a conversation with another brother yesterday, and he brought up Bilal again. I want you to educate us on who Bilal was.
Bilal was one of the first, as we would say revert, but you all would probably say convert. But the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, sent one of his companions, Abu Bakr, to free him, manumit him.
Where was this?
This was in Mecca.
In Mecca?
This was in Mecca, and they were punishing Bilal because he loved what the Prophet was doing, and he heard about the Prophet's message. When he heard about the Prophet's message, how he didn't look down upon slaves, and he was trying to free slaves, and what he was trying to do, he stopped obeying his master, and he got punished for it. So Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, sent someone, Abu Bakr, who had a lot of means, he was very wealthy, and freed him. And he became the first caller to prayer. Where was he from? Some people say that he was from Ethiopia. Some people say that he was from Ethiopia. I believe he was from Ethiopia. But yeah.
I bring these things up because I think as a people we need more. We need to know these things. We need to know history.
Yes.
We need to know all aspects of history, not the history that we've been force-fed or been taught. I think a knowledge allows us to appreciate people and overcome fear. I never want to be in a room with someone where I'm afraid of what they have to say and it's too. No, we should always be trying to enlighten ourselves and develop, ourselves from these stories, from history. So, just learning about Bilal, like I said, yesterday was the first day I really paid attention that his relation, he's a figure Black people go to in Islam and talk about. Mm-hmm. But I didn't really understand who he was.
Well, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that in an authentic narration, I believe in his last sermon, he said that an Arab is not better than a non-Arab, and a black is not better than a white, and a white is not better than a black, except in piety. Except in piety, God consciousness. Mm-hmm. So that is the measure. Who's more God conscious?
That is your relationship to the Creator.
Yeah, whoever has the most. That is the But actually, Arabs are a minority in our faith. Mm. Yeah, the most Muslims or population of Muslims is, I believe, Indonesian.
Now I was gonna say. Now, what are the differences in the faiths? I know you have Shia, you have
the
Sunni,
sex, yeah.
You have the 5%, you have the Islam.
Yes.
Four what can you say are the differences between those four?
Well,
and which one are you?
Oh wow, that was a nice one. Okay, there's like the Prophet, peace be upon him, again said that before the day of judgment there will probably be around 72 or 73 sex. So sex
in Islam,
sects.
Yes,
in Islam. In Islam, I think kind of like in Christianity, you have Baptist, Methodist, and things of that nature. People have come up with all kind of things. I am what you would call an Orthodox or Sunni, but I have friends that are Shiite. I have friends that are Sufi. I have friends that are different sects of Islam. And I love them.
I have a question, and pardon my ignorance, because I don't know a lot. So I can only ask this question by description.
Okay.
So what sect are the guys who seem like the angry guys that stand out on? They used to be on Flatbush Avenue.
The Hebrew Israelites.
They're all in white and they're always yelling.
Yeah, the Hebrew Israelites. Yeah.
They're part of the
that's a tricky one because they claim they used to kind of like when Dr. York was around, I believe they were kind of like coming from the Quran and from that perspective, and then they said they were like Israelites or Jewish. So
it's not. So let's not talk about the law. And then the question that I have, because there was a time in my life when I used to know a lot of people who had Qurans and they read the Quran. Never interested me. Someone gifted me a Quran as well, which I don't know why, because I couldn't read it, right? But I need to understand. I know that one of the things that drives you here within Brooklyn or Harlem, Manhattan, is that you believe it's important that people of color should know how to properly recite the Quran.
Oh yes.
Right? And so for me, I need to understand why do you feel that's important?
Why do I feel it's important? Part of the reason is that what Bub was talking about earlier with the racism and things of that nature. It's a literacy thing.
Okay.
It's a literacy thing, and I find that most of us, as in the African diaspora, African Americans, even in English, sometimes we don't read that. So it's very important. You can't hear me? Okay. Okay. So it's very important. It's a literacy thing. Learn how to read because knowledge is key. I feel like you can argue with those in the best way, especially when you see racism. You can cite something from the Quran. You could cite something from, as we say, Allah's book or a saying by the Prophet, peace be upon him, against that. But if you don't know it, if you don't understand it, and if you can't comprehend it, you cannot fight back against this. So it's very important that people learn, because to give you an example, when Caucasians become Muslim, that's the first thing they do. Yes, they even go to the source. They'll go to college, they'll get a degree in it, and they'll be ahead of us. You understand? So it's very important. I encourage that,
But in saying that's important for someone to learn how to properly recite the Quran, are you also saying that it's important that they become Muslim? Because how do you recite the Quran if you don't understand the religion or you speak the language? Because it doesn't come in English, right?
Yeah, it does. It's translated. It's translated in actually, I believe it recently was translated into Spanish. Yeah. As well.
People speak Spanish, especially in the U.S.
French.
So, would you find that there's any less value in a person reading a translated version than committing to learning the original language in order to recite it?
Yes, because it's not the original tongue. There's some scholars that say Arabic actually can't be translated, but I believe that it's good. It's very beneficial, and you can get the message. The message is what's important. But when you're reciting Quran in Arabic, you get it raw and uncut.
And I didn't realize until reading your extensive biography.
Come on.
No. In reading your biography, which is totally over my head, and I sent the message.
I apologize about that because I
think it's great.
I would never write that, but I had to do that for the school and everything.
No, it's excellent. Yeah. I think the point that I'm trying to make is that in reading your biography, when it finished, I sent Bob a message like, I read it, it's really good. I still don't know what it means. But I think it's very impressive to commit yourself to that level of education. And what the point that I was making is, I didn't realize that there were degrees in schools associated.
It started with my mother.
Oh, well, see, but I'm definitely not saying
it started with my mother. Yes.
No, that's beautiful because I would have to say that you are one of the most respectful and gentlemanlike people that I've met in a long time. Even just the way you articulate your manners, and I would assume it comes from the studying and what you believe in your faith. Yes. I only have one thing wrong with his faith. I think they shouldn't have multiple wives.
I knew that was coming.
That's what any religion.
That was coming.
So can I ask you one?
Is there a science about that in the religion about having multiple wives?
I have one hot seat before he explains the science. Because he's a good-looking guy. And there are a lot of single women in here right now. So I just want to know, do you have more than one wife?
No, I don't. I'm single, actually.
Oh, you're single? Mm-hmm. How's that possible? I thought you were supposed to have multiple people.
Not supposed to. It's up to the person.
So, ladies, if you're watching, he's single, but you got to fight me first. No, I'm joking. So back to Bob's question. Is there a science or what is the reasoning that one may think that someone in your religion would need more than one wife?
It depends, because there's a verse in the Quran that says that you can marry up to 4.
Mhm.
You can marry 1. You can marry 2, 3, or 4. But if you cannot deal justly between them, fawahid
Fawahid. That's what I need to learn.
What's fawahid?
What is fawahid?
and 1.
Fawahid, young man. That is I've learned 2 things today. No, and I think that's huge because my parents worked in Saudi Arabia for multiple years.
Really?
Yeah. Back in the early 2000s.
Cool.
And my mom and dad explained that the difference with the Muslim belief and the multiple wives there, and I would have to kind of also equate it to the people that I met in Nigeria who had multiple wives, is that there was a belief, marry whoever you want, but be able to provide for them equally.
So now Bub can help me.
Yes.
Because y'all do it too.
He does his daughter. Because he doesn't have anyone wife. Don't get married together. No, but that is the difference. So when my parents were in Saudi, my mother said that each woman had her own house. They had the same types of furniture, and then once a week or however often it was, they all sat at this big, huge table as a family. And the only time there really seemed to be any tension is when the additional wife couldn't bear children as the other wives.
Yeah. Well, men do it for different reasons. Everybody has their reasons. I don't want to offend anybody at all.
So why do you like to be single right now instead of, if you can have up to 4? Is it because of the pandemic? You just chilling out for a little while.
COVID.
Yeah, and that's me too.
COVID.
That's me too. I'm not
COVID is gonna bail me out right now.
Well, Brother Ali, I have one last question for you, and it's about COVID, and it's about voting. Are you planning on voting? And
Yes, I plan on voting. I'm registered.
Okay.
I'm registered.
Very good.
Yeah, I've been registered. I think since the Obama election, the first.
Because a lot of black men on the street, we talk about voting, and you find a lot of puzzling opinions. And I consider your brother on the street. You have the ear of the street, so it's important to know who you plan on voting for.
Do you mind sharing who you're going to vote for?
Well, like Malcolm said, it's between the fox and the wolf.
Yes.
We all know who the wolf is. So I think I'll go for the fox.
Okay. I appreciate that, because I will have to tell you that we have some guests, and we're missing one person that I love a lot, who's part of the show, who doesn't really see the importance of voting. I spoke to some friends of mine that are in Atlanta, and they're just like, they think that it's a waste of time to vote. And I feel like if everyone who thought it was a waste of time to vote actually voted, we would see it different.
I would encourage them to vote. I would encourage everyone to vote. I really do. I get it why some people don't want to vote for their own reasons. They've totally given up on the system here. I mean, I feel like that once in a while myself. I'm like, but I do think that it's important that we all vote, because, it counts.
Thank you.
And lastly, what does it mean to you being a grandson of Miles Davis? What does that actually mean to you in words?
That's the first time I saw you grab the mic. Here comes some passion.
Yes, because I'm living it. It's great. It's awesome. Like my son used to say, my little son, he's 10 years old. He'd say, it's awesome. It really is. It's overwhelming at times, though.
The expectation from people when they meet you?
Yeah, and the stigma of musicians, rock and roll lifestyle.
So my dad, I had one question to ask. My dad wanted to know if you were musically inclined.
Well,
his voice.
I consider.
Well, he does have a good voice.
I'm a reciter of Quran, like you said.
Exactly.
I wouldn't call myself a vocalist. I would say a reciter.
But,
but my mom was a singer, and my dad played trumpet, and Miles played trumpet as well.
Yeah.
So it's in the blood.
So it's in our.
So do you I'm so taken just by your personality. Like, yeah, you seem like a really, really nice guy. So nice. Yeah, so nice. I'm not even gonna try and date you because I don't want to corrupt you. I'm like, oh, you're such a good guy. No, but going back to Miles Davis, can you share like I see you very humble, right? So he asked the question, like how does it feel? But I'm just wondering to be connected with such a legacy, right? And I feel like you develop a legacy of your own with your dedication to the Quran, which is equally as important within the community.
Like Miles says, that bounces off your creative juices as well. At some point, reciting the Quran, you have to be creative at some point with your voice and things of that nature. Being Miles Davis's grandson, it's great. I mean, like I used to wake up in the middle of the night and see him on TV. I lived with him as a child until he and my mom were separated, and she took me down south because it was a lot. It was a lot to deal with. But when I got old enough, I came to New York, and we're trying to continue the legacy as much as possible. With Miles was open to whatever you were into. Whatever you do, try to be the best you can. You know what I mean? Like I play a little trumpet, but recitation of Quran is more my thing.
So I always try to ask the guests if someone has, like, your message has spoken to them and they want to find out more. And by all means, I love supporting Black and brown businesses. So where can they find you for your barbershop, number one?
It's between Bedford and Franklin. It's on Fulton, 1175.
That's in Brooklyn.
Yes, it's in Brooklyn on Fulton Street.
What's the name of it?
It's called Alhamdulillah. Do you know what Alhamdulillah means?
No, please tell me.
Praise is due to God. All praise is due to Allah. Barbershop.
That's nice. That's nice. So that's where you can find barbering needs. And what else? If there's anything else you want to share?
I am a registered imam. We don't have a brick and mortar masjid as of yet, but we're working on that. I'm a part of Darul Noor. We have an online school.
Wait, what is a registered imam?
I'm registered as an imam, like you always say, probably pastor.
Oh, okay.
Like
oh, that's why you're so nice. I get it. My pastors are as nice.
I have my moments.
This time we're not gonna take a break. We're gonna keep rolling.
Okay.
We're just gonna ask you to exit while the mic cams on me, and you're gonna see that and Donnatella, you're gonna get David situated.
Okay.
Thank you, brother.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will see you
tomorrow.
Thank you, Bub.
Thank you, Bub,
for inviting me.
Absolutely, brother.
Thank you. Lovely hostess. Yes.
Yes, I am.
So everyone, thank you for sticking with us. We are coming to the last segment of our evening. I'm gonna take you to 7:00 with Brother David Braff. Brother Ali was very gentle. David is a little bit more hyper. So, we're gonna give you a little caffeine in your entertainment. What's up, Dave? What's good? How y'all doing?
So pull the mic. You have a very commanding voice. So pull the mic toward you.
Sure. I have a commanding voice.
Yes, it's nice. You should do voiceovers. It's good money. You get like $10,000 an audiobook.
Lucky, yeah.
I'm trying to plug myself too. Okay, so are we back to a widescreen now?
We're good money. Keep it rolling, babe.
Excellent. So now, you guys, this is our first week having multiple guests.
Okay.
So it's overwhelming. I feel tired. No. I'm super excited, though, because you're kind of more on the fun, exhilarating end, I hear. And if I sit properly, maybe I could get an extra somewhere.
Oh, man. Okay. I ain't like that.
No, I checked you out. Yes, you are. So I like to start with welcoming David Braff. Did I say it correctly?
Braff is fine.
Braff. But is that right? Is that correct? Braff is correct? Okay. I want to make sure I say it correctly. And I usually start by letting people kind of tell us and me Just who is David Braff?
Who is David Braff?
Yes.
Deep existential questions, and I have to ponder my existence.
Please do. While I eat my mac and cheese.
No, I'm Brooklyn born. My family's from Barbados.
Okay.
I'm a descendant of Barbados.
I said, nice skin you have. I see.
Thank you. Born in Brooklyn, New York. Went to Nazareth Regional High School. Studied at Pratt Institute. I studied art. I was always artistically inclined towards the arts. Did not graduate. Was not a good student. Wasted a lot of time. My mother's still upset with me.
In college?
Yeah, I mean, but you know what? And
my mom was mad at me too. And I went to Drexel. I still love you, mommy.
But you know what? I won't call it wasted time because I made good friends and good connections. And I did, despite the fact that I didn't graduate, I learned a lot. And those artistic sensibilities never left me. I went for film because that was a time when you had to, like, you thought you had to go to film school to do film.
Yeah, back then I think you kind of did a little bit.
Yeah, like the idea of just picking up the camera and just making films as opposed to getting some kind of formal education wasn't really something
and now
you did.
Everybody with an iPhone is making a
everybody. It's everybody. It's all over, and there's good information out there so that you could actually really build yourself to do something in that arena. Even though so my focus really is film. I do editing. I do some. I haven't gotten to the point where I want to make a feature film at some point. I'm not crossed that.
Not an interest is yet.
And full disclosure, see, Dave is the reason why we're actually sitting here.
And see, I know that, but he said that earlier, but I was going to let him do it. I didn't want to.
Dave produced another friend of ours that I met, Alex.
Right,
Alex and
shout out to Ali.
And Ern.
Hi, Ali.
Ernest had a talk show.
Okay.
What was it called?
Oh, Love, Peace, and Slander, which we're actually talking about bringing that back. But
they sat right here.
What is it called? Love,
Peace, and Slander.
Love, Peace, and
So
Slander.
a couple that talking about.
I think I remember that.
And they were right here. And Dave was the man behind
the camera.
The action. He produced the show. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I've always wanted to see this in Amarachi. To have a place where we could have, our own talk shows and have our own stuff. So from that point on, I've always had this interest of continuing. Right. And COVID happened and, because it was last year. It wasn't that long ago. Yeah, so I was hoping to continue it. But like I said, the world shut down. So as we were shut down, we started working behind scenes.
Do you want to eat on camera or you want to wait?
Oh, I'm not eating on camera.
No, he's not eating on camera. Can we put it in something for him? Thank you.
As long as it'll wait.
So I owe you, Dave.
Excuse me.
Listen, don't sell yourself. I remember from the old Amarachi, you've always been inclined towards media and film and that type of thing. You had a web series you were working on too. I remember that. I used to check it out.
Yes. So, and then I told you, I said, as we move forward, we got to get back. Once the world opens, we have to get back to shooting again. Your project stuff. We want to work together because not only are you you have a great eye, and we love what you do. You also, you make short films, you make short movies.
Right.
So I also have an interest in, I've always wanted to do an Amarachi reality show. Things of that nature.
They need one here.
Absolutely. And you're just a brilliant mind. You're a fun guy to be around.
Thank you.
How was the I know you had a T-shirt. I bought some T-shirts.
Lit BKNY.
Yes,
it is still open. Lit BKNY is still open. For business, it's still
nice.
T-shirts are still popping.
Okay, good.
I'm not wearing the Lit. I'm wearing my Basquiat today, but Lit is still popping.
Exactly.
BKNY.com. Hit that up.
I think y'all heard that.
Lit BKNY.
Yes.
I'll text it. So he said I must text it, and we'll put it on.
Please do.
The little thing that goes around.
Now, one of the reasons why I invited you today because Tuesday was such a crazy night. I wanted to really get your thoughts on the election because you see, you are, I would say, the progressive black man. You're in the streets, but you have an ear for Hollywood. You have an ear for the news. You're socially conscious. You bring it all together. So it's your perspective is that's what's trending. You are the guy. You are Black Twitter in my book.
Oh.
I am Black
Yes.
Twitter. I
So
don't
when
know if I go that far.
you speak from a position of strength and confidence in that you have your pulse on a lot of things, and you're coming and you bring a powerful perspective to it that I know a lot of people are going to share. So from your perspective, what did you see on Tuesday?
I'm gonna keep it family friendly.
It doesn't have to be just real quick. That's us. That's correct.
Listen, if it went over the airwaves on CNN, I'm sure I could say it here. The commentator said it was a shit show. She was absolutely on point.
Before the commentator said that, I'm in one or two chat groups, but everyone detailed it exactly the same way.
That's what it was. That's what it was. We are at a low point in American politics. And as to what you were saying about having, the being Black Twitter and I feel like you one of the things that a lot of us miss. Everybody's very opinionated. Everybody wants to get their point across, and a lot of us, like the brother you had on earlier, I just spoke to him earlier.
Wow.
Who was talking about being more political minded and getting more people involved in the political process. You have to be connected to a certain point to the people that most intellectuals don't want to connect to. One of the things I pride myself on is, I think a lot of informing myself and being understanding the political process and understanding the things that are going on socially. But it's also important to never let your feet rise so high off the ground that you can't relate to the everyday people.
Right.
Because now we're at a point where if you want to get a message across, you have to appeal to them. And for better or worse, the part that we always seem to leave out, you kind of have a if we build it, they will come mentality.
Right.
If you have a positive message and positive intentions, they're going to gravitate. No, they're not. You have to sell
competition for that now.
Right. You have to connect. You have to get the eyeballs on you. You have to get attention. You have to make being politically active lit, for lack of a better. You have to make it something fun and something that people want to be a part of. I mean, I'm not going to say that I've always been the biggest fan of what Diddy has to say outside of his music making, but the vote or die back in the day, remember vote or die? It was kind of a ridiculous concept, but it got young people to be like, vote or die. It was something to connect them.
Engage,
So we need, we need more connection to people who are uninvolved and disenfranchised and just disillusioned with the whole process to get them more interested.
I'm particularly worried about a big segment in our community. They're the same guys that don't believe COVID is real. The same guys that think Donald Trump is not that bad. And they're growing.
Yeah. It's not accidental. Now, I'm skeptical to a certain point of a lot of conspiracy theories, but I don't disbelieve all of them. I feel that we have a lot of our brothers and sisters who they cling to anything that's told to them that's anti-establishment, anti the system, because they've learned that the system is not trustworthy.
Absolutely.
But we still have to maneuver through that system regardless of the fact. Listen, there are a lot of things that I don't trust, but you have to use logic and reason at the end of the day. And anybody that comes up with anything, even if you think it resonates with you, go past it just resonating with you. Read up on it. Find out what's the facts behind these things.
I think they're just more comfortable looking up another person on YouTube that shares their belief. As opposed to, go ahead.
I don't think that's it, but I wanted to tie on what you said about fact finding. So I think the problem is that people are not taking the time to, let's say, the person who's in the White House right now.
Right.
Some of us are not taking the time to determine what he's saying is actually fact or what he's saying is fiction. Because number one, I guess we all know that stereotypically politicians will lie to you.
Right.
But this dude just lies.
Another level.
Like it's another level. But and what I find is that a lot of the people who follow him don't care that he's lying. Or don't take the time to find out if he's lying.
They appreciate his, I can't even call it honesty, but they appreciate his,
that's a whole
so
different
forthcoming. And he's such a narcissistic liar.
Well, he's borderline, like, not even borderline. He looks mentally ill.
Yeah.
He looks mentally ill. Referring back to the shit show, he was a display of somebody who had no control.
Nothing. No
impulse.
Well, he did.
Actually,
well, you know, I mean, this was like
he was like a 3-5-year-old. Yeah, 3-year-old.
Right.
And I think what he demonstrated is that he did not care.
No.
And that you could not do anything to him, which is why I'm so concerned about November 4th. I'm not as concerned about November 3rd. November 3rd when you go to vote. I'm concerned on November 4th when he doesn't win, because I believe in positive affirmations. When he doesn't win, what type of shit show crybaby attack is he going to have on November 4th in order to get those people who do follow him blindly, who do realize that in X amount of years there's not going to be a Caucasian race at the rate that we're appropriating, and that the power that they have, they're now losing. They've lost the Confederate flag. They've lost statues.
We're going to see something the likes of which we've never seen before.
Regardless, we're going to see it if we win, and the right half or the left half, whatever it's called, the left half celebrates, right? You're going to have the other half want to come out and just start killing people. And if we lose, you're going to have Black Lives Matter and all these other people coming out. So either way it goes on November 4th, it's going to be a scary day. And I also think as of November 4th, when it comes to this pandemic, we're going to start to see some more real numbers that are shown as they get ready to send us back inside for the winter.
Yeah, well, as far as COVID, the numbers they predicted a long time ago, the numbers are going to go up.
They're already ticking up, but I think
Brooklyn's seeing a spike.
Yeah, but I think we're seeing more of a spike than what's being reported, because right now, let's say they said numbers are up 10%, you can be sure, or 15%, that people are going to vote in the mindset of being angry. Trump again is doing this. Another set of people are going to start dying rapidly, and you see that impacted in the election. So I feel like they're not being as honest with us. Yeah, they're downplaying it with us. I mean, when they said Crown Heights in Williamsburg has a spike, there's a whole set of people there who refuse to wear masks, who say they don't believe in COVID. Yeah. And I'm not talking about people who look like us.
I know I know exactly who you're talking about.
And I had a conversation at a distance with about 10 of them, because there's a hotel very close to us that's owned by them, and they walk around in the hotel. They don't require the staff to wear masks or anything.
Right.
And when I spoke to them, one of them said, "Well, I'll put my mask on for you, but we don't believe in COVID."
They don't believe in COVID.
They don't believe in.
They don't believe in COVID. They don't believe it exists. It's not real.
And that you see, and it's challenging for me, because it's one thing for it to be created, but at the same time, even if it was created, it's a real thing. Yeah. It's killing people.
It exists.
Yeah,
it exists. You're gonna get sick.
People are dying.
You get sick. You can die from it. And you can die from, so it's like, I don't care how it got here, whether it's something that came out of nature, something that was created in a lab. The reality is that this is a real disease. This is a real problem.
And to further the conversation I had with them, they went back to what's being promoted as the people of concern. And so,
The people of concern?
Well, so ideally, it's people of color that are predominantly impacted, people with underlying issues.
Right.
And I've had this conversation with some 30-something, 40-something, 20-something people who look like me, who, except for they're quite more healthy. I'm just skinny, right? And so I've talked to these guys and said, oh, I go to the gym all the time. I don't need to wear a mask. Nothing's going to hurt me. I'm not sick. And I said, yeah, you're the prime candidate for being asymptomatic who goes to visit grandma and kills her. And, you know, and then my friend, I'm not going to say his name because he's pretty popular in Brooklyn. He said to me, he said, yeah, well, my aunt died and they tried to say it was COVID, but it wasn't COVID. And I said to him, really? Did you visit her first? So you have a lot of people who don't even believe that when people are being diagnosed as COVID, they're also listening to the rumor mill, and some of it may be true, of the check boxes to associate people with COVID for financial gain, meaning the hospital billing.
Well, one of the complicating factors is that we have very little experience with dealing with this level of a pandemic and something that is so new on the scene. So the CDC and the WHO and all those scientists, whether you trust them or not, like, they're scientific organizations. They're trying to figure out what this thing is. And they're like, well, one second you say wear masks, the next second you say don't, the next you say do it. And they're taking this.
The CDC never said don't wear a mask. That's that orange haired guy. And the CDC also, the CDC and the DOH also got shut down by the orange haired guy when so much uproar was going on.
So yeah, he's taking steps to have their messages filtered, but at the same time, they're trying to scramble to figure this out too. They don't know,
and they said it.
And people are taking that as these aren't no longer legitimate scientific organizations. No, they're dealing with. You're seeing in real time scientists figuring it out. And getting it wrong and correcting themselves.
And under scrutiny and under undue pressure from a man that's politicizing this thing to find an angle where it benefits him.
Right.
So can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What do you think, so my mother has nicknamed this vaccine that supposedly can come out in a month or two as like Trump's killer vaccine. So I'm just wondering, if a vaccine was available in November, let's say, would you be running to the front of the line to take it?
Okay, so I have a reputation for having very controversial opinions. I'm always saying something on my page.
Oh, y'all are friends.
Yeah.
That's how we met.
and one of the statuses that I posted said, so if they came out with to the anti-vaxxers, if they come out with a COVID vaccine, are you just going to die? And that raised a lot of controversy about whether or not vaccines are trustworthy happening. The ironic thing is, at this point in time, personally, I would not take a COVID vaccine.
Me either.
And I'll tell you why.
Because they just created it yesterday?
I trust medicine. I
got the vaccine, little Mark, as a kid.
Yeah, I trust medical science. These are rational things. However, I know that the vaccines that we take have been tested over 5-year periods, 7-year periods. These are the things
that easy bake oven.
What do y'all think about this idea? Do you think Donald Trump has taken this vaccine?
And that's why he's acting so sporadic?
Do you think he took this vaccine in February, in January?
When he wasn't wearing a mask?
That's a hard one to say. I do believe that Donald Trump would absolutely, without a doubt, secretively take something that he felt would benefit him without telling the American people.
Absolutely. And the reason, and you can't say whether you believe, but what I'm saying is plausible to think, for me, that he may have taken a vaccine and his circle,
except for the brother who died,
because they have an intent to deliver this vaccine right before an election, where it can be seen. they thought he would be seen as a hero, saving people as a political, maneuver.
But it's backfiring. There are actually several pharmaceutical companies that are saying we're not releasing anything. They signed an agreement.
Yes.
We're not releasing anything until it's properly tested. And even though the pharmaceutical companies are shady in their reputations, they understand that that's their bread and butter.
Right.
And he's still saying it. He's still pitching it. That listen, a vaccine will be available in weeks. The
pharma, Pfizer, and I forget another one of them, said that the vaccine will not be ready until summer 2021. That was one of the, if they didn't say it on the debate, they said it in another interview.
In a statement in response to the debate. Yeah.
Right.
Where he claimed that this company is ready to go.
Yeah, and
he does that all the time.
They absolutely said it's summer 2021. And as a result, you're from Barbados?
My family is.
From Barbados. So, Trinidad Carnival's already been canceled.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I was talking to a
Canceled next year?
Yeah, 2021 Carnival's already been canceled. And it has to be based on what happened this year after the Carnival. And it's already, it's October? So you have to cancel it now if you're going to cancel it, because people are now creating, building their outfits and booking hotels. So that's canceled. And I think New Year's Eve ball drop is supposed to be virtual.
Right.
They already announced that. Thanksgiving Day parade, I can't remember if I heard it's happening or if it's on a smaller scale.
I think it's some virtual thing. It's not happening live there.
But here's the question you have to ask yourself. And the only time I'm happy that I don't have kids. If it's not safe to go to watch the parade, it's not safe to stand in Times Square, why is it safe for your kids to go to school?
And the short answer is it's not.
Right, unless because I was watching News 12 with de Blasio this morning, they're talking about all the upticks. Personally, I think they had the kids go back to school so that you could have the kids in the school, and as the kids start to contract COVID and are required now to be tested, because today they said they're going to take tests. The parents have to sign a permission slip for the kids to be tested in school. And the results will not be given to the kids, but will go directly to the parents. So in my opinion, they're going to have the kids in the school, the kids are going to test positive, and when your kids have to quarantine and they can't go home, where do they go? You're going to have to be tested as well and quarantine with them. It's a way to make the people get tested.
And take the vaccine.
And that's where I was going. And make the vaccine mandatory.
I
mean, I can't say it's not.
It's just a way.
These guys, and that's the problem with all of this, is that we're living now in a society where we just can't trust the government anymore.
You don't know what's going on.
At the end of the day, when I do get frustrated with a lot of political conspiracy theories and things that just aren't based on anything substantial. But I understand what motivates it. You can't trust the institutions that you usually can go to get valid. You're supposed to be able to look, especially if you're a person of color.
Look at Look at what's happening now with that case, where this guy now says he was going to release the grand jury tapes because someone in the grand jury called foul.
Right.
And said, listen, I think we were misled.
Right.
Oh, they released it. So they released AG's, Kentucky Attorney General's notes from I guess the trial or whatever it is. He never ever recommended jail time for the police. That's number one. Number two, they came out and said that now the ballistics don't match what he said, that the boyfriend's bullet actually hit the officer. There's no way with the proximity, and then there was no I was going to say MSG, but it's not MSG. What is it when you have
MSG?
She's hungry. My hungry one is hungry.
But I don't want MSG though. That's all I know. With the whatever the I don't want to say dirt. When you fire a gun, there's residue left.
Ballistics?
Yeah, there's residue left when you fire a gun, right? They said the officer that was wounded, there's none of that residue on his body part, which means that the bullet would have had to come from a further distance than actually from the boyfriend.
Well, listen, we understand the systems that we're dealing with. We understand how the DA's office works with the police to cover their backs.
Yeah, but the attorney general looks like us. And of course, they've now put his family tree. He's married to whatever his name is.
I think we've seen enough people who look like us holding Trump posters to know that looking like us.
He was their star speaker at a Republican convention.
Yeah, I watched that.
Bringing it back to, I wish Peter was here. Bringing it back to the voting.
Peter, did you hear that? I know you're watching.
Peter, where you at, Peter?
He initially had a project that was out of state, so he wasn't going to be here today.
Okay, because the whole this brings it back to the whole voting issue.
Oh, but Peter and I fight because Peter thinks we shouldn't vote.
Peter was incorrect.
Peter,
the fact of the matter is this. One of the main issues I have with people of color who stress not voting is whatever your plan or your whatever you say the objective is for Black people, what we need to do, the organizing, the protesting, whether it's civil unrest, whatever it is that you want to do. Depending on where you live, voting takes anywhere from 5 minutes to a few hours.
Absolutely.
Out of one day, out of every 4 years. There's no way that those few hours can derail whatever grand political plans you have. And whatever issues we have need a multi-tiered approach to the solution.
Right.
Yes.
That's one aspect. Why are you so hell-bent on stopping
The vote.
a part of it that would potentially help everything else?
And
Even if it's for
local
nothing.
But even the local
You not
government.
voting is only helping the other side.
Absolutely.
They're not going to stop voting.
Well, someone made us on my WhatsApp made a point today, and he said all of this not voting and it's too much, it takes too long, is bullshit. And his point was for all the young people who camp out overnight, who stand in line for hours to get the new Jordans, for all the parents who stand in line at Walmart and do all these other things to get the PS5 and all those things. How could you not stand in line to implement your civic duty?
Thank you.
And then, of course, I always tell people, well, if you don't vote, on the next day when something shitty or crappy happens politically, you can't open your mouth.
Look, voting is part of activism. It just is. You can't say you're an activist and you don't vote. It's all part of it. It's you casting, like I said, if we didn't vote, Letitia James would not be in office.
Yeah,
and we need more of her. We need more AOCs. We need more Aaron Omars. We need more Ayanna Presleys in places of power. And the only way to get them in there is by voting.
And I'll take it a step further. We were played. Black people were played. We were pawns. I often urge people to watch this movie. It's on Netflix. It's called The Great Hack.
The Great Hack?
The Great Hack. Hacking into a computer.
Yeah.
But this movie, it's not new. But just now a report came out that confirms exactly what was portrayed in the movie, which is that, remember when Facebook and everybody was talking about Cambridge Analytica and all the data collection?
Yes.
It comes back to that. Cambridge Analytica collected data on everybody, and in the pursuit of getting Trump in office, targeted Black people in the battleground states. And through Facebook and through social media, fed misinformation that would cause not even necessarily us to like Trump, but basically for us to say exactly what all these people are saying is that Democrats are just as bad. The other side is just as bad. Your vote doesn't matter. It's the lesser of two evils. These same messages are coming directly from people who studied, see what your mental profile is, and fed it to you, knowing you would spread it, knowing people would not vote, and knowing Trump would get in. And it worked, and people are still doing it right now. It's happening right now.
Russian bots pretending as Black people.
Right.
As you find them all over Twitter and Facebook.
But the bots don't even have to do it anymore because they've successfully convinced so many Black people that it's true that we're doing it on our own. So at the end of the day, one thing I always try to press to people is, in the United States of America, you really sit white, black, I don't care what you are, you don't have power. You don't have power in this country that doesn't come from the representatives you elect. Every once in a while, they'll put a law on the ballot that you get to vote for something here or there. Every once in a while. But by and large, the way our government is set up is that you elect the people that make the laws. If you don't, you elect the person that sits in the White House. If you don't elect that person, then you're not participating in who's deciding your fate. Because at the end of the day, you have to abide by these laws or you're getting locked up. Absolutely. You have to abide by what the law of the land is, or you're in trouble. So be a part of that process, or you're really shooting yourself in the foot.
Now, what about these people that just want to blow up the system and go to war? Is it feasible to fight a war against these right-wing militias?
And the guy named Jim,
is it realistic?
That runs it. The black militia group out of North Carolina. The leader's name is and their name is really funny. Like
for every one black militia group, how many right militia groups are there?
That's what I'm saying. It's not a fair fight. It's not.
So why would we want to go that route? Why would we want to entertain the idea of let's go fight?
Right.
When we don't have the guns, and right now they're not selling the bullets or guns to us right now.
Mm-hmm. It's a situation where I think because a lot of us, we live among each other and we look left and right and we see black people all around. And in our areas, in our communities, you have the mental image that we have enough people and enough resources to wage some kind of war with some kind of violent war.
No, except when you participated in those protests and you saw that we were outnumbered, you should think again.
Listen, white people been hitting the streets with some black lives.
No, but that's what I'm saying though. How could you have seen the protests, look at the physical faces, and then think if we stood, and we're not going to stand in a fisticuffs. So even if in the hood you got a few Glocks and you got a few little automatic weapons, these people have been buying automatic weapons and hiding out in the woods for years.
Listen, they know how to live on acorns. Yeah. They little kids. They got little girls with little pink AR-15s. These people ain't right.
No. They're not. And having a guy like Trump as the commander in chief is even more dangerous because the only people that can even try to stop these militia is the U.S. Army. Yeah. If you have a president that's going to actually side with them and try to make the U.S. Army walk hand in hand with the militia, but that's not what you want. You want a guy that's
Trump is burning his britches with the military himself.
Oh, he is, but you don't want him. You don't want him as commander in chief. You don't want him.
Of course not. But I feel like you're going to have a lot of revolting factions even there. You don't want that either. But I feel like if he tries to loses and he tries to stay.
I think then we're looking at a coup. And it's going to be bloody.
It's going to be ugly.
It's going to be bloody.
But listen, I honestly feel that the whole idea of an armed revolution for black people is just, it's not realistic. Yeah, I do feel that if we did that, we would get a lot of white people on our side fighting with us. But just numerically, and the fact that if the opponent is the United States government, the resources is just too much. We go to other countries and kick ass. How do you think that's just not realistic?
Especially given that after a few of us get caught, we're gonna be telling on Johnny and Leroy.
Listen. Donnatella, they're not coming to catch us. They're going to target every project and send a missile.
Well,
it's going to be Syria. They're going to send a missile.
Well, I think they're going to target the men because I don't think that these people who hate black people really hate black women. I think they hate the strength that they see in black men.
No, they hate us all, man. Remember, you forget these right wingers have women. They have women.
Yeah,
and the women hate
tree bark.
Huh?
Yeah, even though I'm sorry to tell you, even though
Listen.
they don't like us, they tend to like our women.
The women don't like your women. This is what I'm trying to
Maybe
explain
the
to you.
women will shoot us, but the white men won't shoot us. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Don't bet on it. Okay.
I'm joking.
Look,
Here's
just
the
like I
thing.
said, they have sites after Tuesday
Yeah.
that they showed. You know, Sean King posted a couple of these sites after the man and wife dog whistled them again about to stand back and stay ready business.
Right.
How they're like, listen, all you got to do is say the word, man. We've been ready to go.
Oh yeah.
It's true.
But here's the thing. This is how Black people have gotten to where we are at this point. Because people will say, "Oh, you know, we got it bad. We never, you know, we got it bad now. You know, it can't get any worse." First of all, they told us that in 2016. It's worse now.
Worse.
So
now.
obviously
it's a
that's
whole
not
lot
true.
worse.
And it can still get worse.
It's a whole exactly.
They will sell you the idea that, you know, we haven't made any advancements. Black people haven't advanced. Black people used to be slaves, and we've made. You own a restaurant in America. Like I'm doing well in my endeavors. We're sitting here having a show, and this is from people who in this country were relegated to slave fields at one time. So there has been advancement, and every step of that advancement has been made one way. It's one way, and we don't ever talk about it.
What way is that?
There are white people in this country that when you tell them the American ideals, you know, all men are created equal, that they believe that in their hearts. So even while you have people running around that are redneck type racists,
You
there are a
still
lot
have
of white
others,
people that
absolutely.
believe in that, and we need them as allies. But the thing is, when you put in their face and say, look, if you believe this, this is what your country is doing. Where will you stand on this? Then that's how you get a Black Lives Matter protest with a sea of white faces.
Way more white people than Black people
So
in 2020.
It's true. So I love these conversations. We talk forever, and I know you say don't watch the time, but it's 6:57. You got 3 minutes,
And I got a burger waiting.
and I think you're gonna have to get your for a good long time. What would you like to? Do you have a question for our guests? What would you like to leave our people with? Did I normally ask how can you be contacted if someone's seen you?
At David Braff is Instagram. I'm not on Instagram as much. Facebook is my domain.
Okay,
You know, just look for David Braff, BARFF.
We got it. So Facebook is your preferred. Instagram people,
Like I said before,
Instagram.
if you don't have a lot to say, you go to. If you just out there to show pictures, you go to Instagram. Facebook is about your thoughts, your ideas. Same thing as Twitter.
Right.
It's both.
But I do want to shout out like Lit BKNY.
We have it on ticker
my
right now.
production company, which is 11203 Productions. That's 11 the word with number 2, number 0, number 3. 11203 Productions. I want to shout out Allie Nicole.
Hi,
That's Alex Mondesir. She's doing big things. She's actually part of the whole Brooklyn raising the ball thing. She's a part of that.
I'm working every day on
Listen, I'm out here doing things. If you want to get a look at the web series that we shot part of in Amarachi,
We should. If you can post it on our page.
sure,
People go
I'll
watch it.
post it on the page. That's the S&M show.
Yes.
It's not sadomasochistic. It stands for sexy and mature. But yeah, just letting you know what I've got going on right now. You're gonna see me with this guy.
Of course.
Wait, don't reach across me. Who's his family now? I'm part of the family.
Yes, you are.
You're
Is
gonna see me with
there
these guys.
Is there something you want to close with, Bob?
Well, just want everyone to stay safe. Keep your mask on, because right now this is this is that time where whatever is going to happen is happening right now, and we don't know it. So don't lay your guard down. Keep taking your vitamins. Keep building your immune system. Go out there and look for your zinc. your vitamin C, get your essentials.
FYI to people still have the misconception. You wear your mask to protect each other.
Exactly.
The mask isn't to protect you, it's to protect your fellow man.
Yes.
Don't be selfish.
Right, the person who has the weaker immune system. And we're going to do some posts about that as well. So we're wrapping up episode 10.
10,
Oh, I remember what part do we stop counting? One day we're on episode 157. So we look forward to seeing
Well, our
you.
viewership is growing. I mean, I've seen more people on here than I've ever
I
seen. So
did.
that's a good thing. And it motivates us. So please definitely like us, share.
I'm promoting.
Dave is definitely from day one has been one of our biggest promoters, yelling at Peter through the internet. So unfortunately, Peter wasn't here today, but hopefully he'll be back next week.
Yeah.
And we'll finally get you and Peter on the set one of these days. And but support us, like us, share, and we'll see you guys next Thursday.
Next Thursday.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you,
You're
Dave.
welcome, you're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Let us know. Producer man, I can't see you when we're off. My cold macaroni and cheese.
This was cool.
I think we're off. Yeah, we're off. Off.